A sealed court case, a caregiving business with no staff, and millions in untraceable cash, all orbiting one woman, Doria Ragland, Meghan Markle's mother. On the surface, it looks like a minor labor dispute, but the deeper you dig, the stranger it gets. Why is this case hidden from the public? Why did California's own governor allegedly step in to seal it? And how did Doria go from modest living to a reported $9 million fortune without a single public success story? This isn't just a mystery, it's a warning. Because behind this quiet scandal is a web of money, power, and silence that no one seems willing to explain. The sealed case nobody can access. In a state where legal battles often make headlines, from celebrity divorces to major corporate lawsuits, there's one case that has managed to stay completely under the radar. Hidden deep within California's labor court system, this case is unusual for one simple reason. It's sealed tight. No public records, no accessible files, no official explanation. Just a locked door that even many legal professionals admit they've never seen before. At the center of this mystery is Doria Ragland, Meghan Markle's mother, and her caregiving business, Loving Kindness Senior Care Management. On paper, it looks like a small, almost invisible company. There are no employees listed besides Doria herself, no bustling office, no public phone number or website, just a name on a business registration form, and a sealed court case that raises more questions than answers. Why would a company with no staff trigger a labor dispute so significant that the court would seal all documents? Normally, labor disputes are matters of public record. Workers or contractors file complaints about unpaid wages, unsafe conditions, or contract breaches, and these disputes are handled openly to ensure transparency. But this case is different. It's been locked away with extreme secrecy. Even more puzzling is how this dispute somehow moved beyond routine court processes. The case isn't just sealed. It appears protected at a higher state level, inaccessible to the public, and even many legal insiders. That level of confidentiality is usually reserved for matters involving national security, sensitive personal information, or powerful political influence. This raises a fundamental question. What could be so sensitive that it demands such an extraordinary level of secrecy? And more importantly, why is it linked to a caregiving business that seemingly operates in the shadows, with only Doria Ragland's name attached? The silence surrounding this case has only fueled speculation. Legal experts and insiders wonder if it involves something far beyond a simple labor dispute. Could it be a whistleblower silenced before exposing something bigger? A client's family member trying to protect a loved one? Or something even more complex tied to power, money, and protection in elite circles? As we dig deeper, the surface cracks begin to show. The sealed case is just the beginning, a shadow that hints at a story far darker than any headline about royal family tensions or celebrity drama. It's a story about influence, about vulnerability, and about what happens when care meets control behind closed doors. And the question that follows is obvious. What's being hidden and why? The mysterious business behind the dispute, Loving Kindness. Senior Care Management isn't your typical caregiving company. Unlike well-known agencies with clear contact information, teams of caregivers, and a web presence, Loving Kindness operates in near total invisibility. Public records reveal little beyond the company name, and the fact that Doria Ragland is listed as the sole employee, and sometimes the only client contact. What's striking is how the business functions. Insiders describe it as a cash-only operation with no credit card trails, no formal office address, and communication that feels stuck decades in the past. Personal texts sent directly from Doria's iPhone. There's no receptionist, no scheduler, no online reviews or testimonials. It's as if the company exists solely to serve an extremely exclusive and discreet clientele. Sources suggest the clientele is handpicked with care. vetted by zip code and income level. The preferred service areas reportedly include affluent neighborhoods like Santa Barbara and West Hollywood, known for their high concentration of wealthy retirees and celebrities. This selective approach is far from the community-driven model of most caregiving services. Instead, it feels like a private club, operating under the radar, with its doors only open to a very particular group. In an industry where transparency and accountability are crucial, especially when dealing with vulnerable elderly clients. This cloak of secrecy is troubling. It invites questions about how such a business can operate so quietly while potentially holding significant influence over the lives and assets of its clients. This mystery deepens when you consider the potential power dynamics at play. Providing care for elderly clients isn't just about companionship or assistance. It can also involve access to legal authorities like power of attorney or conservatorship. If true, this means the company, and by extension Doria Ragland, might hold significant control over their clients' financial and personal affairs. All of this raises an uncomfortable possibility that loving kindness isn't just a caregiving service. It might be part of a much more complex system of influence, control, and protection, one that operates far from the public eye. And this invisible setup leads straight into something even more unsettling: legal language that hints at a cover up. On paper, Doria's business doesn't look outright illegal, but it doesn't look clean either. The company's registration includes a strange little clause that most people would miss. Instead of simply stating there are no outstanding labor violations, it says, unless there is an appeal pending. That sounds small, but in legal terms, it's huge. It means someone expected trouble and wrote in a preemptive escape hatch. Lawyers say that kind of phrasing isn't normal. It's protective. It's vague by design. It signals that something did happen, something worth hiding behind layers of technicalities. It's not a denial. It's a legal dodge, like building a fire escape before lighting the match. And let's be clear, this isn't corporate legal strategy. This is a solo-run caregiving service with no team and no transparency. So who coached Doria through this? Who helped her word it just right? Because this level of preparation doesn't come from someone just trying to help grandma take her meds. It comes from someone who knew what was coming. To legal analysts, this phrasing sends a clear signal. The business may not be entirely clean. Yet, despite this warning sign, there's almost no public fallout, no media coverage, and, most strikingly, no access to the actual details behind the labor dispute itself. And just wait until you see who may have helped cover the fallout. Political cover from the top? If the sealed case wasn't strange enough, rumors started swirling about who might have locked it down, and one name keeps coming up: California Governor Gavin Newsom. According to multiple insiders, the case was allegedly sealed by his office directly. That's not just unusual, it's almost unheard of. Governors don't step in to handle low-level labor disputes, unless, of course, it's not low-level at all. And this wouldn't be the first time Newsom intervened in something tied to Meghan Markle's circle. When the Archewell Foundation faced heat for missing key charity filings, he jumped in on camera, calling it a minor clerical error. No big deal, he claimed, but critics saw it differently. More like political protection wrapped in casual PR spin. So why defend them again? Why risk public trust for a sealed case involving a caregiving company no one's ever heard of? The connection between Doria, Meghan, and Newsom suddenly feels less like coincidence and more like coordination. This question alone has set off alarm bells in legal and political circles. Sources suggest that Newsom's involvement could indicate a form of political shielding, a protective measure extended to someone within a high-profile network. Now, with this sealed labor case surfacing, patterns emerge that raise suspicions of an ongoing protective dynamic. In the high-stakes world of celebrity and politics, legal disputes rarely exist in isolation. Influence, favors, and behind-the-scenes pressure often shape outcomes, especially when powerful names are involved. If Newsom's office did exert pressure to seal this case, It would represent a rare and serious use of gubernatorial power to control judicial transparency. This possibility raises uncomfortable questions about the separation of powers, fairness, and the role of political connections in the justice system. At its core, this potential political interference doesn't just protect a business, it shields a family, a network, and perhaps secrets that someone wants to keep buried. And while the public sees only headlines about royal family drama, an entirely different, more opaque story is playing out behind closed doors, one where law, power, and influence collide. And Doria's sudden leap into millionaire status? That's where the story goes from curious to suspicious. The mystery of Doria's millions. Not long ago, Doria Ragland was living modestly, struggling with property taxes, barely a blip in public life. Fast forward a few years, and she's reportedly worth over $9 million. No inheritance, no high-profile career, no public deal to explain the fortune. Just silence. The timeline, that's what's raising eyebrows. Her wealth surge begins shortly after Meghan's marriage into royalty, right around the same time businesses were quietly formed, domain names registered, and charitable entities launched behind the scenes. And yet, there's no paper trail showing where the money came from. Sources suggest that the business operates largely in cash, avoiding typical financial tracking methods such as credit card payments or formal contracts. Communications reportedly happen through personal, direct channels, like texts on Doria's iPhone, an old-fashioned, low-profile approach that further limits transparency. Such a business model invites questions. How is a one-woman caregiving operation generating or managing wealth at this scale? Who are the clients? And what kind of services are being exchanged behind closed doors? Most importantly, does this arrangement offer opportunities for financial control or influence over vulnerable clients? If her caregiving business is truly the source, then the math doesn't work. Not unless she's charging billionaire rates for bedside chats. So the question isn't just how she got rich, it's who helped her. And why is no one allowed to talk about it? Because the real concern isn't the money, it's the kind of clients she's been dealing with. Vulnerable clients, and legal power. Doria's company doesn't cater to just anyone. Reports say she exclusively targets affluent zip codes, Santa Barbara, West Hollywood, the types of places where elderly clients live alone with estates worth millions. And that's not just selective marketing, that's a strategy. Because when you provide care to wealthy seniors without close family nearby, you're not just offering help, you're stepping into their lives. Power of attorney, access to finances, conservatorship agreements. These are legal tools that can transfer massive control with a single signature. Think about it. When someone has legal control over an elderly individual's finances, medical decisions, and estate planning, particularly someone with no close family to intervene, it creates a perfect storm of vulnerability. Even if everything is technically legal, the ethical questions are enormous. Who's watching the watcher? Who ensures that the client's best interests are being protected? Even more concerning, Doria's attorney of choice, Rick Chino, has been linked to multiple high-level conservatorship cases, the kind of cases where people quietly lose control of their estates while someone else handles the money. It's a blueprint. And the cash-only model? That makes the money almost impossible to trace. If even one client was taken advantage of, this isn't a labor case anymore. It's something far darker. And behind it all, the legal structuring points to someone else pulling the strings. The sealed case. What's being hidden? The sealed labor dispute isn't your typical wage complaint. Sources suggest it may have originated from a whistleblower, a disgruntled employee, a family member, or even a legal aide who noticed irregularities they couldn't ignore. The fact that the case was not only filed, but sealed points to something someone powerful wanted buried fast. Ordinarily, labor disputes, even serious ones, are public record. But this case is locked tight, with court clerks refusing comment and legal databases showing nothing. The language in the company's registration hinting at an appeal pending adds another layer of mystery. suggesting ongoing legal maneuvering behind the scenes. And then there's the alleged involvement of Governor Gavin Newsom. Unprecedented political interference in a seemingly minor labor dispute. If true, it signals this case isn't just about payroll or hours. It's about influence, protection, and possibly shielding high-profile interests. So, what exactly are they protecting? Is it simply a messy labor dispute or something more? Meghan Markle's shadow: power, influence, and control. Meghan Markle's rise to global fame brought not just headlines, but influence and protection for those close to her, including her mother, Doria Ragland. Long before the royal wedding, Meghan and Doria were quietly building a network of businesses and charities under the radar, laying the groundwork for greater wealth and status. Archewell, Meghan's flagship foundation, has faced scrutiny before, with political allies like Governor Newsom stepping in to downplay concerns. Now, with this sealed labor dispute emerging, the pattern of political protection and media control becomes impossible to ignore. Meghan's star power acts as a shield. Powerful connections, strategic press narratives, and legal firewalls insulate her family in ways ordinary citizens could never access. But behind that shield lies a troubling question. How much of this control crosses the line from savvy management into something darker? When a caregiving business serving wealthy, vulnerable clients operates in secrecy, with no clear financial trail and a sealed legal case hanging over it, the stakes aren't just about money. They're about trust, ethics, and the rights of those who can't defend themselves. The silence that speaks volumes. The shadows surrounding Doria Ragland's caregiving business and the sealed labor dispute raise urgent questions about power, transparency, and accountability. When a case this tightly locked down exists alongside unexplained wealth, political interference, and a high-profile family's influence, silence itself becomes a signal, one that demands closer scrutiny. Whether wrongdoing occurred or not, the lack of transparency leaves vulnerable people and the public in the dark. In a world where care means trust, hidden conflicts threaten everything that business and family claim to protect. Until the seals are lifted and the truth comes to light, the questions hanging over the story remain unanswered, and the shadows continue to grow.